Plano Class 39 information session. I'm excited to have several members of the Leadership Plano board with me today. And I'll first call on our chair of the Leadership Plano Advisory Board, Bob Kerr, to just welcome you, say hello, and then I'll take it from there.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. You're in the right place. I hope that you'll apply and give yourself a chance to go through something that's an extraordinary program. Glad you're here. I'll turn it back over to Carol.
Thanks, Bob. And I also want to introduce Priscilla Brown. Priscilla, say hello. I'm going to call on you later on, but I just love you to welcome as well.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're so excited to have you online and excited for you to hear what Carol has to share and the rest of us have to share about Leadership Plano. Thank you.
We will have plenty of time for questions at the end. So if you have any, please jot. Oh, I see Brian. Hi, Brian Lyons. Brian, go ahead and welcome as well. Brian is our incoming board chair. Hi, Brian.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day just to have an opportunity to learn about the program and hopefully experience something that will be life-changing as well.
Thanks, Brian. I wanted to let you know that we do have the ability to have closed captioning for this session, and we are recording as well. If you are interested in closed captioning, at least on my screen, if you check at the bottom of the page, live transcript, and then the top opportunity, you should be able to have closed captioning of everything that is said. And if you can't, then write in the chat and we'll see what we can do to help. So it is such a great opportunity for me to talk about Leadership Plano. I've been program director of Leadership Plano 3 times now. I keep retiring and coming back because I love the program so much. We believe this is the signature program of the Plano Chamber of Commerce. And I know I might get some pushback from Women's Division and from the young professionals, but we think it's the flagship program of the Chamber. I'm going to begin by giving you some history of the program, some reasons why we think it's important that you apply. Then we'll go through specific details of what you need to apply and how the selection process works. So Leadership Plano has given over 1,000 of our community members the skills and community awareness to be strong leaders. When I moved to Plano about over 25 years ago to head up the Plano ISD Communications Department, the first thing people told me was, well, you need to apply for Leadership Plano. And I thought, well, I've gone through a leadership program previously, and I'm not sure I need this. Well, anyway, I did it. And I am a proud graduate of LP 11, which we know was the best class ever. And also served on the Leadership Plano Advisory Board and as board chair. I'm hoping that by the end of this session, you will want to apply and join the many leaders who now serve our community. So a little bit about the program. LP was founded over 40 years ago, actually. There were 2 years that we didn't have sessions by Chamber of Commerce leaders like our late beloved David McCall, and several other community leaders who were determined to ensure that Plano had a cadre of trained leaders to help with the burgeoning community and help it grow with vision and strength. Back in those days, Plano was 75,000 people. And today, you know, it's close to 300,000. These leaders had a clear crystal ball that showed them what Plano was going to look like in the future. And they realized that the future would require strong, educated, outstanding leaders to take the helm and guide the city forward. Even though the town was much smaller, they inaugurated Leadership Plano, and the program has stood the test of time. I could point out some leaders whom you would know, such as our mayor, John Munns, our city manager, Mark Israelson, our current superintendent of schools, Sarah Bonser, as well as the incoming superintendent of schools, Teresa Williams. But striving to be in those positions is not what's so important about Leadership Plano, because we're looking for people who want to serve as ordinary servant leaders who not necessarily aspire to elected office, although that would be great, or to being a city manager, but who want to serve and who want to keep our community the city of excellence. John Maxwell, a renowned author on leadership, once said, "A leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." And that describes the goals of Leadership Plano and what we hope for our graduates. So now some details about the program. LP spans 9 months, beginning in September, with a weekend overnight retreat, which is conducted, much of it which is conducted outdoors. This retreat is mandatory, and it will take place September 10th and 11th, which is Saturday and Sunday. We will start out at the Chamber of Commerce at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, hop on a bus and go away. I want to assure you that the retreat is accessible and that it is called Challenge by Choice. Everybody can do something. So if you're physically unable to do all of the activities that are included in the retreat, which is mostly about team building, I'll get onto that in a minute. Please do not let a concern about ability to participate hold you back.
Excuse me, Carol. I'm sorry. I think your paper may be up against the microphone.
Oh, got it. Is that better?
Yes.
Was everybody able to hear about the retreat? I'm going back then. Thank you, Priscilla, for telling me. So LP begins in September with an overnight retreat beginning September 10th, overnight through September 11th to the end of the day, Sunday. I want to pause here to assure you that the retreat is accessible. It is challenge by choice. We believe that everybody can do something. The retreat is primarily about team building, and everyone can participate. So please do not let any disability hold you back from participating or applying. Our program is committed to diversity and equity and inclusion, and that involves everybody and every ability and every background, ethnicity, religion, and so forth. But I want to go back to say that the retreat is mandatory. So if you are not able to participate that weekend, hold off and apply next year. Please check your calendar. It has been said that 36 people gathered together on that Saturday morning at the chamber for a send-off breakfast with lots of Leadership Plano alumni here to welcome them and send them off on retreat. And they return Sunday night as a strong network of people who are committed to focusing on learning about the community and developing their leadership skills. During the 9 sessions that take place after the retreat every month, generally on the 3rd Thursday of the month, And the calendar is posted on our website, but most of the sessions are the third Thursday of the month from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Well, we really ask you to come at 7:30 because we provide breakfast, and occasionally the sessions go a little longer than 5 o'clock, but we try to get you out promptly by 5 o'clock. We will meet monthly from October through May, and during those 9 months, the class members will learn from top community, corporate, and health leaders. You will get a deep dive into the city of Plano, the public education system from PISD through local colleges, the healthcare system, the public safety sector, the nonprofit sector, the business community, the North Texas region, and more. And when I say you will get a deep dive, what I'm talking about is that you will be connected and meet with the city manager, the mayor, the superintendent of schools, the chief of police, the fire chief, the heads of our local hospitals, and so forth and so on. You will have the opportunity to go behind the scenes where most people do not. You'll get to see how the emergency services system, the 911 system, works in Plano. You'll get to tour the Collin County Jail and the Juvenile Detention Center. Of course, that is assuming that we are not hit by COVID again or any other kind of pandemic, because class 37 was not able to do all those things because of COVID. Many people say to me who have gone through this program that they have lived or worked in Plano for more than 25, 30 years, but they learn more about this city in the 9 months of our program than they ever knew. And let me say, we will go into the requirements and the criteria. If you do not live within the Plano city boundaries or the boundaries of Plano ISD, but work in our community, please feel free to apply. The skills you learn will be transferable wherever you live. That's the nuts and bolts of the program. But I would say, and I think Bob and Brian and Priscilla would join me in saying that while all of that is important and you learn from people who are experts in leadership, it's the network of people that you meet through this program. It's the friends and contacts that you make that will have the biggest impact on you and create lifelong connections, so that if you need to talk to somebody or you need to accomplish something, you can call and say, hi, I'm Carol. I'm a graduate of Leadership Plano. I'd like to talk to the CEO, who's also a graduate of LP, and they will pick up your call. So it's that kind of network that is established with people in this community. One other thing about the program that you need to know: each class is required to complete a class project. It must be something that will improve the quality of life in Plano and leave a legacy. Projects that have been going on for 30 years or started 30 years ago include the online art walk, where you can go online and take a tour of all of the art places in Plano that might be interesting to you. Things like the sculptures in downtown Plano and the Art Center of Plano and other art installations. This was created by one of our classes. Many of you may have participated in TEDx, which was hosted by the city 2 weeks ago or so. TEDx was started by a Leadership Plano class, then taken over by the city. So we're pretty proud of that. Help for the Plano ISD Adult Transition Program. Marketing for that program and expanding it was a project of an LP class. In this year's class, is assisting the clients of the Hope Restored Service Center in downtown Plano, many of whom are without ID and they need a way to get a job and to connect. And so the class is helping them get their identifications. So I'm going to provide you with some more detail now about criteria that you need to apply. Namrata, would you start the slides, please? So let's go to the next slide. There you go. Eligibility criteria. You must live, back one, there you go. Live and or work in Plano or within Plano ISD boundaries, be a member of the Chamber of Commerce, or work for a business, civic, or charitable organization outside Plano that affects the Plano area. And let me say, if you work for an organization or an institution like Plano ISD, for example, or the City of Plano, those are members of the Plano Chamber. If you work for companies such as Toyota, those are they are a member of the Plano Chamber of Commerce. So in terms of tuition, which I'll talk about in a minute, some people don't realize that their organization belongs to the chamber. If that's ever a question, you can check with us and we'll let you know. The criteria for selection includes a history of involvement or a strong desire to serve. So some of you may be just starting out on your involvement path, your journey to being involved in an organization or doing volunteer work. Through the application form, we will ask you to explain either your history of involvement or why and how you desire to serve the community. You need to show in your application form that you have a commitment to ongoing personal development. So I'll be blunt. If you're applying for Leadership Plano because you want to build your resume, but you can't show that you really care about this community and that you want to be involved in either Plano or where you live, then I'd say don't bother. We're not about building a resume. We're about creating servant leaders. We hope that you will have a willingness to accept leadership roles and assume greater responsibility within the community, and that you have a commitment to program attendance and participation requirements. And I'll speak about that in a minute. Well, I can tell you right now, basically you are required to attend all of the sessions. However, we do know that people have things that come up that they can't. So you are given the ability to miss 2 sessions and graduate. People have to travel, people get sick, people have sick children, and we do understand that. But as I said earlier, participating in the weekend retreat in September is required, and attending either the new class reception or graduation is required if you're, and we don't even have a date for graduation yet or the new class reception, but we will have it prior to, once you learn about the date. The dates will be posted once you get notice of whether or not you're accepted. Let's go to the next slide, please. So to apply, you can go to leadershipplano.org, or you can go to planochamber.org. I've found some people have a broken link to the leadershipplano.org. So go to the planochamber.org and click on Get Involved, and that will take you to Leadership Plano. The links for the application form are right there. The link to the application form is there. Read the instructions on the application form very, very carefully. what I'm going to tell you right now is my best hint for acceptance into the program. Don't phone in those answers. Priscilla's going to tell you about the selection process, but I promise you that the selection committee is going to read your answers thoroughly and carefully and sell yourself. Tell us why you thoughtfully are applying for Leadership Plano. We do not want any additional documents. Do not attach a resume, just your application. However, we do need to receive 2 recommendation letters that are sent by the deadline. Those recommendation letters, the link to the recommendation form is also at the same website. There is no reason for you to go into the recommendation letter. Just send that link to your 2 recommendation people. Who should they be? I'd suggest one should be someone you work with, whether you work in a company or you're a community volunteer. As a community volunteer, you're still working with somebody. So someone you work with and someone you know personally, who will know you personally or socially. Those are your recommendation letters. It never hurts to have somebody who's a Leadership Plano graduate, but that is certainly not required. You will be asked to pay the $35 application fee, and your application must be received by Friday, June 15th at midnight. You just won't even be able to send it in if you apply after midnight. Next slide, please. So some questions that you may have in mind. Letters will be sent to all applicants, whether or not you are accepted into the program by mid-July, somewhere around the 15th. As I said, you should have 2 reference letters. When is tuition due? The tuition is $1,500 for chamber members. And again, if you work for a company that does business in Plano and is a member of the chamber, it's $1,500. $1,750 is the tuition for non-members. And it's due by August 15th. I will tell you that there is a payment plan. So if you want to divide your payment up into 3 portions, that's available. And it's your responsibility to take care of it. The details will be spelled out in your acceptance letter. And do we have scholarships? We do have a few partial scholarships to help with tuition. They are generally given to somebody in the nonprofit arena, but also we look for small businesses that may require some tuition help. Next slide, please. Okay. Before we get to questions, if we can bring back the full screen, Namrata. And I'm going to call on our selection chair, Priscilla Brown, to take you through how we select. Priscilla.
Thank you, Carol. Again, my name is Priscilla Brown. I am a graduate of LP Class 36, the best class ever. And it is my honor to serve as selections chair for the 2nd year in a row. As Carol mentioned, the process, as part of the process earlier, there are eligibility criteria and selection criteria. And the committee comes together as a group. I am a non-voting member, but it is an anonymous group of committee members for obvious reasons. We don't want any concerns about, preferential treatment, that sort of thing. So we have an anonymous committee that comes together very quickly after the deadline, which is it's June 15th. Once the applications close on the 15th, between the 15th and the end of June, the committee comes together and we evaluate every application based on both that eligibility and selection criteria. I will tell you that we go to great care to ensure that the candidates that we are reviewing meet the minimum criteria for applying, but also to make sure that we get a group of people that are representative of the city of Plano in terms of background, in terms of career or volunteer professions. So we encourage people who are small business owners. We are encouraging and looking for people who are corporate, people who are in the healthcare sector, education sector, community volunteers, public servants, nonprofits. All of those areas we want to make sure are represented because those are all the pieces that make our city work. And we want to ensure that people from each of those areas get to be a part of this outstanding experience that not only helps us as individuals grow and develop, but it also makes our city work. And so when we get through with that process, and believe it or not, we have people on our committee who are very talented with things like Excel and help us to evaluate the balance in the class, so that when you come out and meet your fellow classmates, you recognize immediately the diverse perspectives and experiences that they bring to the group, and then are able to make your experience that much greater. So it's an exciting process. It goes really fast because we have to then notify you all when you've been accepted, and then all the things that Carole outlined happen after that. You get all the information about payment and so on. But the selections process itself, it's simple, yet it is thoughtful, so that we can make sure we have the best group of people coming forth. And it's competitive. I will not say that it isn't. And I will tell you, my experience was when I met my classmates was, how did I get selected? That's really how I walked away feeling. How did I get selected to participate here? Bob Kerr, Brian Lyons, our current and incoming chairs, both are from class 36, and they both are doing tremendous things, both in their professions as well as in the community. So I encourage you to apply. I know that several people who registered for today's session are not here. If you know any of those people and feel like they should apply, definitely encourage them to look up this recording. Carole will make it available. And if they have questions, reach out, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. If you're hesitating for one reason or another, I would say, don't let that hesitation stop you from applying. Don't be intimidated by the process, because we are looking for servant leaders, not necessarily those who have certain titles and things like that. It's really people who want to serve and have demonstrated the ability and the willingness to do so.
Thanks, Priscilla. I want to call on Bob a minute to tell his story about applying, and I don't want to steal it from you if you're willing to tell it to us.
Absolutely. I applied and I saw Carole and I said, hey, I am joining Leadership Plano. And she said, you mean you applied? Yeah, that's right. And I found out later that I did not get accepted. I had to apply twice to get in. So if you've applied before and didn't get in, don't let it stop you. Do it again. It'll give you a better chance.
And ended up as board chair. Neither Priscilla nor I vote on the selection process. I know many of you on this Zoom call and say hi to those of you that I know, but I don't really have any input. My role is to encourage you to apply and to help the selection committee go through the process. So if you do not get in, we do not disclose how many applications we get, but we get far more than we can take. So we could certainly do more than one class. And so, yes, don't give up if you don't get in. Now, I have a couple of chat questions I want to answer. One is the reference letter process. If you go to the site I told you, either leadershipplano.org or planochamber.org, and click on Leadership Plano, the page that comes up when you scroll down, you will see the link to the application form and the link to the recommendation form. Send your recommendation person the link, that leadershipplano.org or the planochamber.org link to that page. You do not need to link to the recommendation form. just tell them to do that. Your recommender should be the person that opens that form and fills it out. I hope that, Deandra, did that answer your question? She may not be there. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Before you go, I want to just tell you once again, we look for people of all ages and all backgrounds and all abilities. This is so important to us. So we have class members ranging from 25, 27 to 72 and older. So again, the things we talked about in terms of a desire to give back, a desire to serve, that's what we're looking for. We don't have any preset notions about whom we're selecting. Other questions? I think we had a question about whether we have in-person or Zoom sessions. The program is 100% in person. We took a leap last year when there were still, we were still struggling with COVID, and said, we're going to do our best to keep our class safe. Every session we took temperatures, we wore masks until the past few months. We sent out a COVID questionnaire prior to every session asking about health status. So we were very, very cautious, but we're committed to in-person.
Carole, there's one more question about the number of people selected for each class.
We cannot take any more than 36. Some years we may have fewer than 36. We're not committed to fill a class just to fill a class. So we are selective, and we have had a varying number, but we will take no more than 36 people. It's pure and simple how many will fit on our buses.
And there was one more, and I actually answered it about an interview. There is no interview.
No interview process. However, this is not an interview, but if you find that you have a question after this, email me at leadershipplano@planochamber.org. And I'm pretty quick on getting back to responding to any questions you may have. In fact, Namrata, if you'll write that in the chat, the email address, so y'all can pull it up. Other questions, other comments? Brian, Bob, what have I forgotten?
All I can say is definitely apply. Go for it. It's going to be a great experience. I hope you apply and hope you get in.
So then,
There are actually a couple more questions in the chat. One about participating in both Leadership Frisco and Leadership Plano. I don't think we would advise doing that concurrently, but there's no rule against participating in both. And then one question about whether or not it's possible to edit the application after it's submitted. I don't believe it is. You can begin it and then come back to complete it, right? But you can't, once it's submitted, it's done.
Yeah. So anybody else? Thanks for monitoring the chat, team. I appreciate it. So to conclude, I want to remind you that good community leaders don't just spring up. They need to be nurtured. They need to know and understand the skills and the issues facing our city and region. And we hope to help them develop those leadership skills that make them effective leaders. I will share that I hear all the time from people who say they'd love to participate, but they're so busy with work and family that they just don't have the time. I think everybody in this group on Zoom right now could say that. Not one of us isn't busy, isn't involved. But let me argue by saying that Leadership Plano is a gift that you give yourself. A gift of 1 day a month in which you will learn more than you ever thought possible. And I encourage you to give yourself that gift. Again, to just plug in last details, applications, forms for you to link to, and it must be online application, are available online at leadershipplano.org or planochamber.org, and go to the Be Involved link. They're due by June 15th at midnight. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at leadershipplano@planochamber.org. Again, I'm open. We are here if you have any further questions. And I think there's a question popping up about, let me pull it. I would, you know what? Why don't you just ask it? Whoever, yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
Sorry, hi. So besides the project that you mentioned, are there any other outside assignments or things that we will need to do besides the leadership days?
Okay, great question. Thank you. We do have a number of activities, events. For example, we have a new class reception that will take place after the retreat and prior to the first session. It's an opportunity for city leaders to welcome you, for you all to socialize with the class that you've just gotten to know. And it's one of 2 required events, either the new class reception or graduation. You've got to be at one. Other than that, there's social events. We do a wine tasting. Some of you were at the recruitment wine tasting we did in April. We have a holiday party. We have a spring alumni roundup. Those are all optional. So whether or not you can attend is up to you or want to attend. Other than that, the chamber puts on all kinds of events throughout the year. We are part of the chamber. We love you to come. Again, up to you. Not required at all. Have I forgotten anything?
Road rally. We add road.
Oh, how did I forget road rally? Oh, I don't want to tell you too much about that. But when you come back from retreat, there is one other, again, semi-required. You want to be part of it. You really want to be part of it. And it's probably about 2 weeks after retreat. That is kind of a treasure hunt about the community. Thank you for reminding me about that. It is too much fun to even go into, but you'll enjoy it. Bob, Brian, did I forget anything? Any other questions? Anything that's in chat that you'd ask about to everybody? No? James? No, just, oh, thumbs up. Okay, was this helpful to you? Well, we love seeing you all. We hope you will take the opportunity to apply. If not this year, next year, we'd love to see you, and we're delighted that you were with us. Thanks so much. Thanks for the thumbs up, and we'll look forward to seeing your applications come flowing in. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.